Sophie, the Championship is back this week.
Thank God for that.
Honestly.
I've missed it so much.
I've missed it, and honestly, I can't put it into words how happy I am that it is back. Guys, let's go for 3,000 likes to mark the return of the weekly Championship predictions. Hit that like button, it takes 2 seconds, and make sure to subscribe for the new season if you haven't already done so. Or if you're a new viewer, get involved as well. Share your predictions down in the comments as always, guys. And there's no catching up on the score, Sophie, because it's the first week. I beat you last season, but you beat me in the Premier League last season. Let's get straight into the game, Sophie, and we start with Blackburn Rovers versus Derby County. There's 2 games on the Friday night, and this is one of them. Derby are back in the Championship, Sophie. Big club, big fan base. I'm sure they'll be taking thousands to Ewood Park. Can they get the win? Both teams have been predicted to struggle a bit this year. What's your thoughts?
I'll have both teams down there. I think being the opening game, I think there's going to be some tensions there. Obviously, both teams are going to want to start their seasons with a win. I feel like sitting on the fence for this one already.
Really?
Yeah, I'm guessing you're going to go first with your prediction, but I'm just getting that out there.
Yeah, so big game. Blackburn Rovers just about survived last season. They've got John Eustace. The big talking point has been Sammy Smodics. He is still there, but the transfer window is still open. But for now, that's a good thing. He's still there. Derby County, they've come up, did a fantastic job in League One. Paul Warne only really managed Rotherham at this level. Hasn't gone too well. He's got better resources at Derby County, and if they could win this game, it'd be a massive result. But like you, I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm kicking it off with a 1-1 draw.
See, I'm saying the exact same. At least I said early on that I'm going to be sitting on the fence, so I'm not just copying you. But I do feel like first game of the season on the Friday night, everyone's buzzing for it. It'd be typical for it to be a draw, and I can actually see it happening. So I agree, 1-1.
1-1. Okay, share your thoughts on that one. Sophie, on to the next game. We have Preston North End versus Sheffield United. This is also on the Friday night, Sophie. Preston, always a solid mid-table Championship team. I expect probably more of the same. Yes, they ended last season quite poor with Ryan Lowe. They've not had a lot of business. They did lose Alan Brown, but I think they're still relatively solid. As for Sheffield United, Sophie, you'd expect them to do well. Yes, they've got a 2-point deduction. And yes, you know, maybe their team isn't quite as strong as it was a couple of years ago, potentially. No. But they've brought in Callum O'Hare, they've brought in Kiefer Moore, so they've got to be fighting for the playoffs this season. And if they do very well, maybe more. But I'm just going to say that for now. Still got Gustavo Hamer at this moment in time. I'm going to go for a draw. Preston tend to start the season quite well, so despite Sheffield United being slight favourites, I can see Preston making it difficult, and I'm going to go for a Desmond, 2-2.
Ooh, an entertaining one. Do you know what? I'm going to back the home side here. Just because right now I can see Sheffield United getting off to a slow start. I know they're linked with a few players. I don't know whether they're going to be over the line before the season starts. I do expect them to grow into the season, especially if they do sign more players, because right now they've got a decent starting 11, pretty good starting 11. They've got no depth, and I'm a little bit concerned about that. Preston start well. They're pretty solid. They're always around mid-table or slightly higher than that in the Championship. I expect the same again this season, and I think they'll kick it off with a win. 2-1.
2-1 Preston. Yeah, they started last season really well.
Very well last season.
There was they won like 6 games in a row, didn't they? As for Sheffield United, Sophie, if they can win, it's fantastic. They're already out of minus figures, but if they draw or lose, they'll have to wait another week. On to the next game, Sophie. We have Cardiff City versus Sunderland. 2 mid-table teams based off our predictions. They could prove us completely wrong. I thought Cardiff were really good last year, very solid with Baloo. Can they do one better and possibly push towards a top 10 finish maybe? As for Sunderland, Sophie, cause to think they'll do better than last season. Started okay, but then they got rid of Mowbray and it all kind of fell apart, but they didn't go down. They were still mid-table. I think I'm tempted to go for a draw, but I can't have 3 draws in a row. So I will go Cardiff 1, Sunderland 2.
Ooh, okay. That would be a great game. I'm actually going the other way. I'm not saying 2-1. I think it could be a low scoring one, but I'm going to back Cardiff. Right now, judging on Sunderland's squad, it's not changed massively compared to last season. Obviously, they brought in Alan Brown, who I think is a great player. They've still got Jack Clark as well. That's worth a mention, but I think Cardiff, they need to be pushing for the playoffs this season. they looked really good at times last season, so I think this season's the time to be kicking on, and I think they're going to kickstart their season with a win. So 1-0.
1-0
to the Bluebirds, yeah.
1-0 to Cardiff. We're going either way on that one. Share your thoughts down below. On to the next one, Sophie. It's Hull City versus Bristol City, and difficult to predict. Hull City were so close to the playoffs last year. They've not had a great summer. Lost a few key players, and I don't think they've really replaced them. But the transfer window is still open, and they have got an ambitious owner, so I still think Hull could come good. But Bristol City look exciting. Could they sneak into the playoffs, or at least fight for them this season? I think it's two teams with similar goals, got to try and fight for the playoffs, and I'm going to go down the middle. I'm going to go 1-1, but I remember, was this the opening day game a year ago or 2 years ago, and Hull City won 2-1 in the last minute? I'm going to go 1-1 on this occasion.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Right now, teams have both got, I think, 1-1. It's fairly even teams, I'd say. Like, looking at them both on paper, that's why I'm struggling to separate the two, and I am going to be boring and predict a draw, and I think the same scoreline as you, so 1-1. 1-1.
Both sitting on the fence. Do share your thoughts. On to the next one, Soph, and this is, for me, a great matchup. It's Leeds United versus Portsmouth. I think this could be a really, really good game, really entertaining game, could be quite a few goals. Leeds United, Sophie, were the best team that didn't go up, of course, and I expect them to go up this time round, because I think, on the whole, the Championship is not as strong. And yes, they've lost a couple of players. Archie Gray and Somerville are the key ones, but they're still so powerful.
Yeah.
And even if they're nearly as good as last year, I think that'll be enough to take them up. Let's talk about Portsmouth though, Sophie. A fantastic club, 12 years out of the Championship, and now they are back. A brilliant job from John Messina to bring them up. They've been fairly active in the window. They've just signed that Dozil as well, haven't they?
Yes, yeah.
Do you know what? I like Portsmouth. I'm going to give them a goal, and I am backing them to stay up this season, but this is as hard as it gets, and it's a baptism of fire. Leeds 3, Portsmouth 1.
Oh, I thought you might go 2-1. Yeah, I think 3-1. I think Leeds still have that firepower going forward. I know they've not signed him, and I don't think he's had a medical or any offers put in, but if they could get Rowe from Norwich, that's a great replacement for Somerville, and I could then see them finishing top. I think we did both predict them to finish top. Like, we've got high expectations for them this season, so they've got to start it off with a win. Portsmouth, as we've both said, we've got them to stay up, but I am in agreement with you. I think there could be a few goals in this game, so I'm going to say 3-1 as well to Leeds. Yeah,
we're going the same. Share your thoughts on that big game at Ellen Road. On to the next one, Sophie. Let's go up to the Riverside as Middlesbrough take on Swansea City. Middlesbrough have got to be one of the teams fancied to do well this season. Always up there with Michael Carrick and with Latte Laff. They've got a player that has real potential to be the top goal scorer this season. Their business has been steady, and they take on a Swansea City team that I don't think will go down, but we've both put them sort of bottom of mid-table, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And unless they get off to a good start, I'm pretty happy with that prediction.
I think they might struggle this season. So, but then equally, for this prediction, I don't know what to go for, because Middlesbrough tend to start off slow. So you just go for the favourites.
That's a very good point. I think Middlesbrough lost at home to Millwall 1-0 on the opening day last season. I'm happy to be proved wrong by Swansea, because I'm going to go for Middlesbrough. I'm going to go for Middlesbrough 2-1. I just think they might edge it, and this time round get off to a better start.
Yeah, I said that in the predictions video. I think if they get off to a better start, they're going to have a really good season. No, that sounds like a right Michael Owen comment, but genuinely, I can see them having a good one. I'm going to say 1-0. I think it could be slightly cagey at times. I think Swansea could make it hard for Middlesbrough to break them down, but ultimately, I think Middlesbrough have the quality to do it, and hopefully, for their sake, they get off to a good start.
Yeah. Share your thoughts, guys. Can Swansea City crack into the top half? Could Middlesbrough crack into the top 6 this season? Let us know down below. On to the next one, Sophie. We go to the Den. Millwall take on Watford. Two teams that finished around mid-table last season. Millwall, of course, were always sort of close to the playoffs. And then last season, they got rid of Rowett and they were in a bit of relegation danger.
Yeah.
Neil Harris came in, did a good job. Their business has been pretty good. You look at the firepower there with Nisbet, Langstaff, Bradshaw as well. I think they could be really good. They could be sniffing around the playoffs. Watford have potential, I guess, to do quite well, but I'm not really inspired by the business.
No.
And to be honest, I just wish Tom Cleverley all the best. I think, if Watford can give him enough time, he could come good. But I'm going to go for Millwall, and when they're at home, I'm going to go 1-0.
Trusty Millwall 1-0. I was tempted to say the same, but I might actually give them another goal. I think Millwall, as you said, they've got some good attacking players. They're a very solid Championship team, and I'm not worried that Watford are going to go down, but I worry that they're not going to have a very good season. And I think they're going to start it off with a 2-0 loss, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go. We're both backing the Lions there. Could you see them fighting for the playoffs this season?
What, Millwall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll be around there.
I think you put them top 10, didn't you?
Yeah. Exactly.
There you go. On to the next one, Sophie. We go to the Kassam as Oxford United take on Norwich City. Really interesting matchup this, Sophie. Two teams that play in yellow at a 3-stand stadium. I think Oxford United, if they have any chance of staying up, need to get points at home. They need to try and make this place a fortress. Norwich, though, very good team for this level. Maybe not going to be as strong. And, of course, Thorpe has got to really get his feet under the desk. Can he get off to a winning start, or will it be a slow burner? Des Buckingham's done a great job at Oxford, and can they get something? I'm going to go for some goals. I'm going to go Oxford 2, but Norwich 3.
Ooh, that could be a great game. See, I think it could be a little bit more one-sided, to be honest with you. As we have mentioned, Norwich could be losing a couple of players. I think I saw like 3 of their players are linked with moves away at the moment. But they've also got Callum Doyle on loan, who's really solid centre-back.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm going to say 2-0 Norwich.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know that sounds a little bit harsh on Oxford, but I do think they might struggle at the moment. I've seen a couple of their signings and they look all right, but I don't know what to make of them at the moment. So, sorry. 2-0.
Yeah, we're both going for Norwich City on that one. But if Oxford get a result, once again, I'm happy to be proven wrong.
Yeah, so am I.
On to the next one, Sophie, and we go to Queen's Park Rangers versus West Bromwich Albion. I've put them both in my top 10 prediction. I've put West Brom in my top 6, but I think QPR will really improve on last season. Cifuentes did incredible in the second half of last season, and if they just carry on from where they left off, they will be absolutely fine. And who knows? Quite busy in the window, quite a few new faces, so that might mean that there's a bit of a gelling process needed. As for West Brom, they were very good last year. They were the 5th best team the whole way through the season. Coming into this season, could 1 or 2 teams leapfrog them, because they've lost their top scorer in Thomas Asante, and they needed the money, really, didn't they? Which kind of says where they are at the moment. I still think they'll be in the playoff discussion, and I have predicted them to be in there. I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go QPR 1, West Brom 1. Yeah,
so in my predictions, I too had both teams to be finishing up round there. I think QPR are going to get off to a better start this season. Equally, I don't think West Brom are going to have a bad season. I know there's a few things going on at the club at the moment with transfers and being watched and things like that. I am seeing their name linked to a few players, so I think they could have a few more incomings, possibly before this game, but maybe later on. I'm going to lean towards QPR for this one. I'm going to back the home side 2-1. I think they'll get off to a strong start, actually.
There you go. So I'm going for a draw and you're going for Queen's Park Rangers. Yeah, could be a good game. Once again, share your thoughts on that one. On to the next game, Sophie, and it's a game we are going to. It's Stoke City versus Coventry. I'm looking forward to getting to this one, Sophie, because it's been ages since we've been to a proper game. Obviously, first game of the season, you just want to get there. You just want your team to win, and points are as important in August as they are in May, and that's one thing that's cost Coventry over the last couple of seasons. If we'd have started well last year, I think we'd have made the playoffs. If we'd have started well the year before, we could have even been top 3 or 4. There's a lot of expectation for Coventry though, Sophie.
There is now. It feels like the pressure's on. A lot of teams and people are talking about us, and it's like, oh, hope we don't disappoint.
I don't like it.
I know.
I'd rather not be fancied to do well. So if you're watching and you're not a Coventry fan, please just don't expect much.
Lower your expectations. Stop talking about us. Talk about Leeds, Sheffield United.
Talk about the other teams. I just want to be
under the radar.
Exactly.
That's what I want to be.
I want to be under the radar. Let's talk about Stoke, Sophie. Cause to be optimistic, maybe, as they come into a new season. Schumacher, decent manager, and they've had decent business. But how many times have we said this with Stoke? Maybe this is the time things go right for them. I still always think, in terms of potential, they have every chance of being up there. They're just never consistent enough. Decent business with Johansson coming in. I think he'll be their starting goalkeeper. Gibson as well. Can they just get more goals? I'm looking forward to this. I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be a good atmosphere. But Coventry have a good record at Stoke, and touch wood, it's going to carry on that way. Stoke 1, Coventry 2.
Yeah, I'm actually going for the same. I'm going to say 2-1 Cov. I feel like you've got to back your own team. You can say that's biased, probably is. But equally, I think we do have a good team on paper. I'm really hoping that Ben Sheaf will be back in the middle. Then I'll fancy our chances even more. Don't want to underestimate Stoke, but right now I do think we're the better team. I'm not going to go heavy, and that's why I'm going to say a 2-1 win as well. But I would like a few more goals.
Yes, I think Sheaf might be back.
I don't know. I don't want him to be rushed back either, but he is so important to how we play.
So many good attacking options though.
Yeah.
Wright, Sims, Sakamoto, Thomas Asante now as well.
Exactly.
Mason Clark.
Yeah. Rudoni behind him.
Could be good. But less expectations for Coventry, please.
Yeah.
On to the next one, Sophie. It's Sheffield Wednesday versus Plymouth, and two teams that came up through League One the season before last, and they stayed up last year.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I predicted Sheffield Wednesday to finish 20th, which they did, and Plymouth to finish 21st, which they did.
Oh, well done.
And I've backed them to both stay up this season. Plymouth just about, and Sheffield Wednesday have put them in the top half, because I think they could be really good. If they carry on from where they left off, then they could be...
right up there.
Yeah. I'd like to see them challenging Sheffield United, and they might finish ahead of them. Who knows?
That. I'd actually love that.
As for Plymouth, Sophie, we've just tipped them to stay up, but it is going to be difficult. They've still got Whittaker. They have now got Wayne Rooney. I'm going to stand by them staying up, and if they get a result here, that's great, but I'm going to go for Sheffield Wednesday. I'm going to go 3-1.
Oh, okay, so I'm going the same deficit, but a different scoreline, same winner as well. I'm going to predict Sheffield Wednesday to get off to a good start, 2-0 win. I do think Plymouth might struggle. It will be interesting to see how Wayne Rooney gets on this season, because a lot of people, including myself, have judged him on how he did at Birmingham, and obviously that was a terrible job. However, he's at Plymouth now, so for me, clean slate. Let's see how he gets on. I am going to award him a defeat on their opening day, and say Sheffield Wednesday get the win over the line, 2-0.
2-0. There you go. Both back in the Owls to win by 2 goals. And on to the final game, Sophie, which is on Monday night. It's Luton Town versus Burnley. Two teams that came down, of course, from the Premier League, and two teams we've both put in our top 3. I've gone for Burnley second and Luton third. You've gone
the other way. Yeah, Luton second, Burnley third, yeah.
So, what a great opening day game this could be.
I didn't actually realise these two were playing each other on the opening day.
It was obviously a Premier League game last year. Luton Town, they've stuck with Rob Edwards, and Burnley have brought in Scott Parker. Two very good looking managers, I must say. Let's do a prediction. I did write down Luton.
A draw. Oh.
But I'm going to go for Burnley. I've completely changed it. I've just had this feeling, because I've backed Burnley to get top 2.
But that's why you've changed your mind.
Yeah, but I could just see Burnley hitting the ground running. I think they have to, otherwise Scott Parker would be under pressure. I think he has to go in there and hit the ground running. Luton Town, very, very good for this league. I'm sure Morris and Adebayo will fill their boots. Maybe it'll take them a game or 2 to get going. I'm going to go 2-1 Burnley.
Yeah, what I will say to some of the Luton fans out there, stop talking about Ben Sheaf. You're not having him.
Hands off.
Yeah, please don't take him. I'll give you a win. I do actually think they'll win this one. They're a good team at home. I think it could be a very close game. And I think it could be a late goal as well, actually. But I'm going to award this one to Luton. I think 2-1. As I've got them to finish higher, so I feel like I should probably back them to win this one. I agree that Burnley should get off to a strong start. Otherwise, there will be some pressure on Scott Parker. But I think overall he's going to do a good job this season. As I've mentioned, I think Luton win this one though, 2-1. 2-1,
both going either way, and that wraps up the predictions. Sophie, it's so good to be back.
It is.
Yeah, honestly, share your predictions as well, guys. Get involved. We've got loads of content coming. Of course, we'll be back with Premier League predictions next week and the next set of Championship games. And of course, get involved if you haven't already seen my League One predictions with a special Championship guest. Make sure you've dropped a like and subscribed over here, and we will see you in the next one. Take care. Peace out.